Welcome back to our channel. When you think of cattle, you probably picture plain brown or black animals grazing quietly in the fields. But in Africa, there's a breed that completely breaks the mold. Meet the Nguni cattle, a living rainbow of colors and patterns, each one looking like nature's own artwork. These aren't just beautiful animals, they are survivors, perfectly adapted to some of the harshest climates on Earth. For centuries, Nguni cattle have been the backbone of African culture, economy, and tradition, valued not only for their meat and milk but also for their resilience, disease resistance, and deep spiritual significance. In this video, we'll explore why the Nguni is more than just a breed, it's Africa's colorful and resilient treasure, carrying the legacy of a continent and the promise of a sustainable farming future. The story of Nguni cattle begins deep in Africa's history. These animals trace their lineage to the migration of Bantu-speaking people who moved southwards from East Africa hundreds of years ago, bringing with them cattle of Indian and Sangha origins. Over centuries, through natural selection and the tough realities of African landscapes, a unique breed emerged, one that could withstand heat, resist tick-borne diseases, and thrive on sparse grazing where other cattle might perish. This evolutionary journey shaped the Nguni into what it is today, a treasure that is both a genetic marvel and a cultural icon. Unlike European breeds that required human intervention in controlled environments to survive, Nguni cattle adapted naturally, developing strong immunity and efficient grazing habits that make them ideal for Africa's diverse terrains. The first thing anyone notices about Nguni cattle is their breathtaking appearance. No two Nguni look alike. Their coats come in a kaleidoscope of colors: black, white, brown, red, and mixtures of all shades. Decorated with intricate patterns of speckles, spots, stripes, and blotches. Some have smooth solid hues, while others look almost painted with abstract designs that artists could envy. For African communities, these coat patterns are not random, they often carry symbolic meaning and are used to identify lineages, mark status, and even inspire names. A farmer can identify each cow in a herd simply by its unique markings. In fact, in some regions, cattle are given poetic names that describe their coat patterns, likening them to natural elements like rain clouds, leopard spots, or the shimmer of stars. This deep cultural connection transforms Nguni cattle into living works of art, each animal an individual masterpiece born of nature's creativity. Yet beauty is just one layer of their identity. Nguni cattle are also renowned for their resilience. Africa is a continent of extremes, where droughts, heat waves, and unpredictable rainfall patterns regularly challenge farmers. Nguni cattle have evolved to thrive in such harsh conditions. They are smaller in size compared to many European breeds, but this is not a disadvantage. Their compact frames make them efficient grazers, capable of surviving on sparse vegetation and low-quality forage without compromising their health. They can walk long distances in search of pasture and water, and their metabolism is adapted to conserve energy in times of scarcity. In regions where imported breeds often collapse under the weight of climate stress, the Nguni continues to flourish. This resilience is not just physical, it represents a promise of food security for communities that depend on cattle for milk, meat, and income. Disease resistance is another remarkable trait of Nguni cattle. Africa's warm climate creates an environment where parasites, ticks, and diseases are a constant threat to livestock. Exotic cattle breeds introduced from Europe and other parts of the world often fall prey to these diseases, requiring costly veterinary care and chemical interventions. Nguni cattle, on the other hand, have developed natural immunity over generations. Their hides are tough and less inviting to ticks, while their immune systems are better equipped to handle infections. This means that farmers spend less money on medication and treatments, making Nguni cattle a more sustainable and cost-effective choice for rural households. In many ways, the Nguni is Africa's answer to low-maintenance yet high-value farming. But their importance goes beyond survival and sustainability. Nguni cattle hold profound cultural and spiritual significance, especially among the Zulu, Xhosa, and other southern African communities. Traditionally, cattle are considered a measure of wealth and social standing. The number of cattle a family owns often determines their influence within the community. Nguni cattle play a central role in dowries, ceremonies, and rituals. They are offered as bride price, used in ancestral rituals, and sacrificed during important life events. For example, in Zulu culture, the slaughter of a Nguni cow can mark milestones such as marriages, births, or rites of passage. These animals are not merely food sources, they are deeply woven into the social fabric, connecting families to ancestors and maintaining traditions that stretch back centuries. Economically, Nguni cattle are proving to be a modern treasure as well. In a global market where livestock farming often struggles with the balance between profit and sustainability, Nguni cattle present a strong case. Their adaptability reduces input costs for farmers, since they require less feed supplementation, fewer veterinary expenses, and can thrive in natural grazing systems. While they are smaller in size than beef breeds like Angus or Charolais, their meat is of excellent quality. Nguni beef is lean, tender, and full of flavor, appealing to both local and international markets. With rising consumer demand for healthier and naturally produced meat, Nguni cattle are becoming more attractive in premium markets. At the same time, their milk production, though modest, is valuable for household consumption in rural areas, ensuring food security where it matters most. What also makes Nguni cattle stand out is their role in biodiversity and conservation. Modern cattle farming often relies on uniform, commercial breeds that offer predictable yields but at the cost of genetic diversity. Nguni cattle, however, represent a reservoir of genetic traits perfectly suited for African conditions. By preserving and promoting Nguni herds, farmers are not only maintaining a cultural legacy but also safeguarding valuable genes that may prove crucial in the fight against climate change and emerging diseases. Research institutions and conservation groups are increasingly recognizing the importance of these indigenous breeds, encouraging breeding programs and awareness campaigns to ensure that Nguni cattle remain a thriving part of Africa's agricultural future. The aesthetic appeal of Nguni cattle has also found its way into modern art and design. Their striking coats inspire patterns in textiles, fashion, and interior decor, particularly in South Africa where the breed has been celebrated as a national treasure. Farmers and entrepreneurs alike have realized that Nguni cattle are not only valuable for meat and milk but also for their hides, which are turned into luxury leather products. From rugs and upholstery to handbags and shoes, Nguni hides carry a premium value because of their unique natural patterns that cannot be replicated. Each piece of leather becomes a one-of-a-kind product, just like the animal it came from. This creative use of Nguni cattle further enhances their role in sustainable economic development, bridging tradition with modern business opportunities. When looking at their role in the broader scope of African farming, Nguni cattle also represent the concept of low-input, high-output systems that many agricultural experts advocate today. Smallholder farmers, who form the backbone of African livestock production, often do not have access to expensive feeds, medicines, or intensive management systems. The Nguni's ability to thrive under such circumstances means it can directly uplift rural economies, reduce poverty, and ensure livelihoods for millions. Their suitability for communal grazing systems also fosters cooperation and collective management among farming communities, strengthening social bonds while ensuring sustainable use of shared resources. In modern times, where climate change is increasingly disrupting traditional farming practices, Nguni cattle have become more relevant than ever. As droughts intensify and grazing lands shrink, many farmers who had previously shifted to exotic breeds are now turning back to indigenous cattle for reliability. Agricultural researchers point out that the future of livestock in Africa may depend on embracing breeds like the Nguni, which are inherently climate-smart. Unlike imported breeds that demand constant intervention, Nguni cattle thrive naturally in Africa's unpredictable environment. This not only makes them sustainable but also positions them as a vital tool in building resilience against global food insecurity. Interestingly, the symbolism of Nguni cattle extends beyond farms and villages into the identity of nations. In South Africa, they have been celebrated as part of cultural heritage, appearing in literature, art, and even branding. Their multicolored hides symbolize unity in diversity, a fitting metaphor for a country with rich cultural mosaic. Tourists visiting rural regions often find themselves captivated by herds of Nguni grazing across picturesque landscapes, where they serve as both living history and modern marvels. Farmers proudly showcase them not only as productive animals but also as guardians of heritage, embodying a legacy that must be passed on to future generations. The survival of Nguni cattle through centuries of hardship tells a powerful story. They are the ultimate proof that strength does not always come from size or speed, but from adaptability, endurance, and balance with nature. They remind us that sustainable farming does not mean fighting against the environment but working with it. For Africa, the Nguni represents hope that agriculture can be both profitable and eco-friendly, that heritage and modernity can coexist, and that resilience can be as beautiful as it is practical. As more farmers, researchers, and governments recognize the importance of indigenous breeds, the Nguni is stepping into the spotlight as a model of what livestock farming can achieve. It is not just about preserving the past but about building a future where biodiversity, culture, and economics converge. The Nguni's vibrant coats may be what catch the eye, but it is their story of survival, adaptation, and cultural connection that makes them truly Africa's colorful and resilient treasure. The Nguni cattle are not just livestock, they are living symbols of Africa's strength, beauty, and resilience. From their dazzling coats that look like moving art to their unmatched ability to survive in tough climates, the Nguni remind us that true treasure isn't always measured in gold but in heritage, adaptability, and life itself. For farmers, they offer sustainability and profit. For communities, they carry culture and identity. And for the world, they stand as proof that indigenous breeds hold the key to farming's future. If you enjoyed learning about Africa's colorful and resilient treasure, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with fellow livestock enthusiasts.